We had a question about Arch. So Jason from Alamo, Tennessee hit us. He said, I'm seeing a lot of early mock drafts putting Arch Manning #1 overall. Do you think that's justified? It feels like everyone is sort of indicating he's college football's most important player in 2026. Good question. Good questions. Firstly, Jason and everyone else, do we know that Arch is going to declare for the draft after this upcoming year? I mean, I know everyone assumes it, but do we know for sure? It's a little different cat. He marches to maybe the beat of a little bit different drum than normal folks. So firstly, let's just make sure he's going to declare for the draft. Number two, how do we define most important player? All right, so firstly, I wouldn't push back on the claim if you claimed that Arch Manning is the most important player in college football this upcoming year, because he's the quarterback, a very high-profile quarterback, on one of the title favorites for this year. So I wouldn't push back on that. But I would also say, even if you guarantee me Arch Manning's going to play at a high level this year, well, I kind of still got to know if the Texas run game's going to be there. I think it will. I got to know if the Texas offensive line situation worked itself out. I hope it will. I've got to ask myself, does Arch Manning have a great year in like a Ty Simpson sense or a Fernando Mendoza sense? Because Ty Simpson kind of shined individually and did it almost in spite of some of his surroundings last year, whereas Fernando Mendoza benefited from his surroundings and also heavily contributed. So, like, what would an Arch Manning #1 overall draft type year look like? Because it could be one of the two. I'm sky high on Texas. So, like, I think it'll be Arch excelling as part of a team that also does. But I don't know. I've been wrong a time or two. So I got to see that. And also, if this year plays out as it should, I don't disagree that he'd go out for the draft. If he has a great year, an injury-free year, if Texas is strongly competitive in the SEC, they make the college football playoff, maybe they win it all, but at the very least they make a run at the national title and everything lines up, then yeah, I would expect him to go out for the draft. But the other variable in the equation, quick 5-second timeout, check and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It keeps it free. We love you. All right, back to the show. Which has been a variable in the equation for Manning's in the past is, what does the order of the draft look like? Because he does not have to come out. Financially, he does not need to come out. And if the New York Jets or some woeful organization is sitting there with the overwhelming desire to draft him and he doesn't want to go there, he's the kind of guy who would just stay in school. You know, there are worse places to be for another year than financially set in Austin, Texas, playing for the Longhorns. There are worse places to be. So one other thought here, if you're talking about him being the most important player, there's some places out there, there's some programs out there that if they lost their quarterback right now, the season would go up in smoke. In fact, most places are like that. If Ole Miss lost Trinidad Chambliss, they're out of contention. If C.J. Carr was gone at Notre Dame, wouldn't be good at all. Brennan Sorsby is the hope for Texas Tech. Darian Mensah at Miami. Like, what are they doing without those guys? I'm not saying Texas would feel good or be in prime position if Arch just said, I quit today. But I think they could win with KJ Lacey. So also a lot of that most important player conversation has to do with who's behind you. And Texas, look, candidly, I think Texas's twos could compete in some other conferences this year on the whole. So I especially think that if you kept the rest of their roster and it was KJ Lacey, I don't want to speak this into existence, mind you, but yeah, I wouldn't push back on any of that. #1 overall draft pick, most important player in college football. I wouldn't push back on it. I would just say there's a lot of context that's needed, and then it gets boring and monotonous. A lot of odds that I've mentioned tonight on the show, and we're not done with the show, but a lot of the things I've mentioned tonight, courtesy of FanDuel, exclusive odds provider of the show. I mean, we were locked in on San Antonio, Portland earlier. I was locked. Jesse didn't pay so much attention, but I was dialed in on Spurs Blazers. Yeah, just big NBA guy. And so, believe it or not, you can go bet that at FanDuel. It's much more likely, if you're watching the show, that you're interested in Texas over under 9.5 wins. It's much more likely that you're interested in Indiana making the playoff. Or maybe if you've become an Indiana hater, maybe you're a Bryant Haynes hater and you're just going to take it out on how you bet Indiana games. Don't do that. Take it from me, don't do that. But if you want to go ahead and do it anyway and ignore my advice, you could go do that at FanDuel right now. It's the exclusive odds provider of the show. No shortage of college football markets out there and on there already.